They used to, just gossip about what kind of the paints that particular girl has applied on her cheeks and all, what kind of a dress that particular woman is wearing. If two or three of them are talking, the others who are in the coffee house, they are more interested not in drinking coffee but in listening to what these men are talking, or what the gossip is going on. So this was, basically rumors, gossips. These were the talk of the town. People used to just fashionably dress, throw their money. They were least concerned with how much they used to expend on themselves. In fact, they were extravagant. Apart from that, ma'am, could you please tell me what was the end of this poem, how it ended, and what basically Pope wanted to say, ma'am?
Okay. Now, after the rape of Locke, Belinda naturally sees dismayed because she
Yes.
has lost her beautiful lock of hair, and therefore her friend
Yes.
Thalestris,
Yes.
whose name is Thalestris, she tries to console Belinda. At first, she rebukes Belinda that she used to take unnecessarily care of her hair. She has decorated her hair in such a manner that it has attracted the attention of Baron. If she has not decorated it, then this incident it must not have happened. Now she fears, means her friend, she fears that it may happen that Baron will display this particular lock of hair to the world, and people will certainly feel sorry for this girl. Belinda, she is lamenting over this incident, and then after the poem ends with a message of Clarissa. Clarissa, see here, Clarissa is also a satirical portrait because she is the woman who supplies Caesar to Baron because she feels jealous of Belinda's beauty. Previously, she has given Caesar to Baron, and now she tries to console Belinda. But through her, the message is given because, after all, Pope is very much famous for his didactic poems. And the kind of message that Clarissa gives here, she says that no doubt, what is the reason? She asks so many rhetorical questions. She asks that what is the reason that women are praised, women are honored, when they are in the coach, the watchman or the gateman, they salute them. Even the wise person, they cannot restrain the charms of women. And then after she herself gives the answer that women are respected in the society not because of their beauty, not because of their physical appearance, but they are respected, they are honored because the good sense that they have in their personality. I would like to show you, so slide please. Clarissa in her message she says, slide please. Clarissa in her message she says, I would like to read from the text itself, the message, because here Clarissa she is a spokesman of Pope. Clarissa speaks like this. She says, but since alas, frail beauty must decay. No doubt Belinda is beautiful, but beauty is frail. With the passing of time, beauty will certainly wither away. Curled or uncurled, since locks will turn to grey, no doubt her hair very much splendid, but with the passing of time, it will certainly become grey. Since painted or not painted, all shade fade. The makeup that she has applied in order to look beautiful, it will also fade away with the passing of time. What then remains but well our power to use and keep good humor still, whatever we lose? What then remains? Then what remains with us? If beauty is transitory, if hair is transitory, then Clarissa says that a woman should keep good humor or good sense within her soul because the message is here, charms strike the sight, but merit wins the soul. So by charm, by your beautiful face, you can certainly attract the person, but if you have merit, if you have good virtues within your heart, then it can win the soul of other person. So such kind of message Clarissa gives to Belinda. She tries to console her, but Belinda is not ready. She is not convinced at all because she wants her lock of hair back. She demands it from Baron. Baron is not ready to give, and therefore in the last canto it is presented by Pope that this particular quarrel turns into a kind of a humorous combat. The groups are divided into two parties. This girl, Belinda, she tries to kill Baron in a mocking way. The whole quarrel or the whole combat scene is presented. With her pin, she tries to stab she tries to stab this boy, Baron, and Baron says that let him live because his love is rejected by this girl, and therefore if she will kill him, then death will certainly put an end to all his miseries. But if she will allow to leave him, then he will have to burn in a flame of love only. But once again Belinda is not convinced. She demands her lock, and Pope at last says the quarrel ends there because the lock is missing from the Hampton Court building. According to Pope, no mortal being or no human being can keep such kind of lock of hair because it's a precious one, and therefore God has taken the possession of this particular lock of hair. It has gone to the moon. It means it has gone to the lunar surface, and it has taken the shape of a star. Belinda will die, but her lock will be there in the sky in the shape of star, and it is illuminating the whole sky, and it has achieved eternity. So this way the whole poem ends, and through this poem, not only the younger generation, means not only the female or not only the men are satirized, but wherever Pope finds opportunities, he has presented very satirical picture of judges, the merchants, even Queen Anne also.
Yes.
Because one line is here that Queen Anne, she visits Hampton Court building in order to take counsel, means in order to discuss something, or sometimes in order to taste tea. So for diversion as well as for you can say that for arguments or to take kind of suggestions from her courtiers, she used to visit this particular Hampton Court building. So this is just in a short something regarding satirical poetry of Augustan age.
Basically, here we have tried to show in our presentation, in our movie and all, in the videos that we have shown, that satirical poetry in Augustan age was an important characteristics, because satire was the form that was developed in this era. And just to sum up, we have said you what Augustan age is all about, the
I think
historical
let us
background.
first we ask the question, and then after we shall sum up the things that we have discussed.
Any questions from any centers? Okay. So we'll just sum it up. That satirical poetry in Augustan age, we have included what Augustan age is all about, the
So
historical
first we
background.
talked about Augustan age.
Yes, with the,
And we informed the students that Augustan age is known by 3 or 4 other names also. 18th century England, the first thing that we discussed, 18th century England is known as Augustan age. 18th century England is also known as the age of Pope, because Pope was the dominating writer of that particular era.
yes,
Though there were many famous writers like Jonathan Swift, Joseph Addison, Richard Steele, but the you can say that Pope dominated the scene. He dominated the literary scene, and therefore the age is coined by his name. 18th century England is also known as the age of Queen Anne, because she was the ruler of England. The 12 years of her reign was really very much glorious, and therefore the title is given the age of Queen Anne. The same age is also known as a classical age, because classical, the word classical means a work of higher rank, and the work that was produced in the era of 18th century was really very much golden, really very much classical, really you can say that work of higher rank, and therefore classicism, or you can say that the title, it is the classical age. So the 4 titles are given to 18th century England, and we have pick up this term, the Augustan age.
Yes.
After Augustan age, we talked about the writers of Augustan era,
Yes.
and you also talked about the chief characteristics or the chief tendencies of the era,
Yeah, definitely.
and thereby you talked about
It was an age of Pope.
Pope.
It was an age of satire because satire basically flourished in this era. It was an age of reason. It was an age of set rules and regulations because when we talk about classical age or neoclassical age, but natural when the writers of this age were inspired from Ovid, Homer, and all, basically rules and regulations they come definitely. Then we switched over to satire.
because set rules and regulations means the poetry were written in keeping in view the heroic couplet.
Yes.
Okay, and therefore set rules and regulations. Then after you also said that it was an age of prose and reason.
Reason and good sense.
Yes, reason and good sense. And then after we came to the point that it was an age of satire.
Yes.
So then after we have presented the
All the
origin
satirical-
of satire, and
three originators.
in a very simple language I tried to give them the definition that satire is, after all, it is a form of a literature, and through satire the writer exposes the follies, the vanities, you can say that the weaknesses, the absurdities that we have in our personalities, or the follies or the weaknesses that we have in the society. So this way satire is also presented. And then after giving the definition of satire, we presented our view, or we have shown them the slide of
We have shown
that
them all
Roman
those slides,
writers,
Roman
Persius,
writers and all,
Horace,
Persius.
and
Yes,
Juvenal.
yes.
Because English satirists, they were not original. They took inspiration from this satirist, this Roman satirist. Those who followed Roman satirist Juvenal, they are known as a Juvenal satirist. Those who followed Horace, they are known as a Horatian satirist. And then after we talked about the poets of 18th century, and especially the satirical poets, and we talked about Matthew Prior, his work The Hyde and the Panther, which is based on, or you can say that it was a parody on Dryden's The Hyde and the Panther. Then after his work Solomon, because he considers Solomon as his best work. Then after we also talked about John Gay. John Gay, no doubt his fame rests on his Beggar's Opera, which is a parody on Italian opera. But he wrote 3 or 4 poems in a satirical tone.
Yes.
Then after Swift and even Joseph Addison, they also wrote satirical poetry, but it was not that much famous because they are more popular by their essays and by their prose work. And after discussing that Swift and Joseph Addison, we talked about Alexander Pope.
Yes.
About Alexander Pope, once again if we repeat, then Alexander Pope, he was the main satirical poet of 18th century.
Yes.
Because he is known only as a satirical poetry, means as a satirical poet. About Pope, if I say, then there are 3 reasons which are responsible for making him
Yes.
as a satirist poet. The first reason was that by birth he was a Roman Catholic.
Okay.
And you must be knowing that at England we have 2 branches in religion. One is Roman Catholicism and the second one is a Protestant.
Yes.
Most of the people at England, they are Protestant, and since this Pope is a Roman Catholic and therefore he has to suffer a lot, he was unable to get education in a proper school. Tutor used to teach him in his own home. Then after he was unable to find any job, any good job at London, and therefore the kind of bitterness that he has developed, the kind of experiences that he has in the society, he has presented. Apart from, no doubt he was a Roman Catholic, but then after another thing if we discuss, then this Pope, he was
Very suspicious
suffering,
in nature.
suspicious nature, no doubt, but he was also suffering from one disease
One disease.
which pained him throughout his life.
Yes.
So he was never able to enjoy a radiant glow of health,
Health.
and therefore he developed irritable nature. and all these things are reflected in his works. So after talking about Pope, we concentrated on his major works.
So that was the reason why Pope became a satirist, why
Yes,
he
yes.
started writing satire. All these things influenced him to write satire. And after that, we switched over to
His satirical
his
works.
satirical poems, Dunciad, then Epistle to Dr. Arbuthnot.
Then
We also
after
talked
Imitation of
about
Horace.
Imitation of Horace. And then
Then
it
after
was
we
all
talked
your show.
about the rape of the lock. And about the rape of the lock, we too much things we have discussed. The poem is divided into 5 cantos. First it was in 2 cantos, and then after it means 5 within 5 cantos, the younger generation of 18th century, they are presented in a satirical way. The judges, the merchants, the coffee houses, everything whom poet finds. So this way he has presented the satire, and Belinda, she represents the younger women of 18th century, and Baron, he represents the younger man of 18th century. So this is our talk, and I
We
hope
have
that
tried to show the students, those who are watching, about satirical poetry in Augustan age, thereby